I'm Nick Filardi.
I'm Jason Thielbach.
Welcome to the world's second finest podcast. Today, we're talking Batbooks that came out December 1995. And you know what that means, Jason? That means you can go to your local comic store in December 1995, pick up these comic books, and then head on over to Electronics Boutique and pick up Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy Kong's Quest for the Super Nintendo. Brand new. Just came out.
You know, I always immediately age myself whenever I tell people any younger than me than like more than 5 years, when I tell them before I bought a Switch that the last new console I ever bought was the first PlayStation. And I was like, the reason why, though, is because I was 16 years old, I had a job, and I saw a commercial for Final Fantasy VII, and I was like, fuck yes. And as soon as I could, I went down to Electronics Boutique, and I bought a PlayStation and put a reservation for the game. And people, like, as soon as I say Electronics Boutique, they're like, oh,
you're of a certain age.
yeah. They're like, oh, I see a look on their face of like,
right.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm about that age.
We've been adding Amazon affiliate links. I just wanted to mention that again, just in case somebody didn't missed it or whatever. In the show's description, you will see Amazon affiliate links for everything we're talking about if it's been collected into trade. Some of those trades will be out of print, so they will be a little expensive. It's a good way to support the pod, but if you want to really invest, I would say buy stuff that's not out of print. And also visit your local comic shop before you buy anything from us. If you want to support the pod, you can click the links, and we appreciate it. Also, this show is also on YouTube with a bunch of art. So if that's more your bag, you can go check it out there at youtube.com/Nickfil. Jason, let's get into the real stuff. Let's get into the real pod now.
Let's dig in.
Batman 526. Kelly Jones is off this month, but we still got a cover from him. Batman 526 is written by Doug Munch with art by J.H. Williams III, inks by Mick Gray, colors by Pat Garrity, seps by Android Images, Todd Klein on letters, edited by Denny O'Neil with associate editor Jordan Gorfunkel. It's constant whitewater. Batman gets a new Batmobile. Also, just Brooke, as an aside.
Yeah.
Did you feel like these issues were just like, we don't know, we need to do like housekeeping in the Bat family, and so we're just going to have like a bunch of issues of petty crime?
I honestly didn't think about it till right now, but yeah.
Because they introduced a new Batmobile in this one, and you would think that it would be like a big reveal, but it's just like, oh, he's just in the car driving around. And you're like, oh, okay. I don't know. Anyway, it's constant whitewater. Batman gets a new Batmobile. It has an ejection seat that shoots him out of the top like the Arkham Asylum games. It's pretty sweet. Batman chases down a bank robber in it. He fights that dude. And after the hit he took, I'm not sure that bank robber still has teeth. Anyway.
I just before you go too much further into your recap, I just wanted to say about the Batmobile, that panel of close up Batman with his hand clenched on the wheel and his jaw. Like when I saw it, I was just like, I just hung on it for a bit because I'm like, great art, but like just squared, clenched jaw, clenched fist, Batman, like. Yeah,
that's comics, baby.
Oh,
that's comics, baby.
Hell yeah, I love it. I was like injected into my veins.
So he subdues this guy, drops a flare by the car, and speeds away in his new ride. Where's he going? To fight more petty crime. A break-in at a convenience store warehouse, which, Jason, I don't think this is a thing. This is definitely not a thing. It's a giant warehouse behind the convenience store. So like when people say, oh, I got to go check in the back, like this is what they envision. This isn't real. This is comic books. It's not real.
Yeah.
He dispatches the thugs, but one is in the other room in the convenience store with an employee, of the place. Batman hears them through the door and then decides to go through the door in order to knock down the employee, saving him from gunfire. Batman follows the gunman out of the shop, but the gunman's already in his car and getting away. Batman hops on the roof, punches out the window before the guy crashes the car, sending Batman flying. The gunman does gunman things, like muttering and pointing his gun at the disoriented Batman. Batman decides instead of being shot at, he'll just punch him really hard in the head. He gets back to the cave, and we get a big lore dump. The car is, quote-unquote, running rough. And I don't know if you know this, but I think the car is a metaphor for the psyche of our Batman.
Ooh.
He and Alfred start to work on it. Alfred said Bruce is in constant whitewater, and he explains what constant whitewater is. I don't necessarily have to explain it because we know it as basically burnout nowadays. But yeah. I guess at the time, constant whitewater was this idea, this new corporate idea about like people who were basically overworked, couldn't focus on any particular task for too long, couldn't follow through with their duties because they have too many duties, basically.
Yeah. More poetic than burnout. I mean,
more. Yeah.
But I'm like, constant whitewater sounds a bit cooler, though. It sounds like, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like a thriller 90s, like straight to VHS movie, you know.
Constant whitewater. This Christmas. Submit to the constant whitewater.
Yeah, and you see some actor you haven't seen in ages, you're like, oh, he's still getting work.
Good for him. Good for him.
Yeah.
Alfred's all like, yo, dude, you got the Bat family. Use them and be excellent to each other. Batman's like, neat, and then goes back on his own, out on his own anyway, snubbing Robin, who overheard the whole conversation. Alfred tried to go to bat for him. Batman drives around, finds a mugging that he doesn't realize is fake, which leads him into a trap by people in masks, potentially being Black Mask connected, but we're not really sure. He gets in over his head. Tim Drake shows up, even though Bruce didn't want him there, and bails his ass out. Batman and Robin chat about their current dynamic. Robin likes the idea of being on a team, but also having solo careers. Maybe it'll help him from the rough waters that Dick Grayson went through before leaving and turning into Nightwing. The engine is running smooth. Batman has his team. The book is over. Jason, what'd you think of Batman 526?
Honestly, I really dug it. I really you know, it was like, and now that you mentioned it, like at the top, that like it sounded like they were maybe like taking care of some, you know, some loose like plot threads things.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, well, I'm like, yeah, it's like a bottle episode, right? You know, and sometimes those can be really good. There's just really like nice, just kind of like tightly packed. The art was great.
The art was great. Yeah. J.H. Williams III crushed it.
Oh yeah, completely. And like, just, I don't know, it was just a good little story. I mean, you know, not like we haven't like kind of heard like, oh, Batman, you're going too hard. Like,
right. We kind of heard this song and dance before. I mean, like, even Alfred brought it up. He's like, these are the lessons that you learned from Nightfall, yet you're falling back into your old habits. Like, you got to have a balance, you know?
Yeah.
And Batman's like, yeah. And then he just, I don't know, does whatever because he's Batman.
Yeah. And I did like, so like Black Mask, I'm like, again, is just like, fetch isn't ever going to be a thing. You know, this is what it felt like. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. Black Mask exists.
Yeah. Oh, he's still out there for years.
Yeah. But never really there.
I thought it was good. I wish it was a little more meaty with Robin and Alfred and Batman. If that's going to be the focus of the book, they don't really pull that in until like halfway through. And I thought it ended well with Robin and Batman having like a heart to heart, but it also like Dick Grayson, Tim Drake was sitting there in the Batcave and he's like listening to this conversation with him and Alfred. And at the end of the book, Batman and Robin like get in the car and they're talking. And Batman's like, oh yeah, I knew you were there the whole time. And these were all the things I wanted to say to you, but I didn't want to have a confrontation. So I just said it and left. And I was like, you fucking, like, what is, How broken are you inside, Bruce? Just to have a conversation. He's a child.
Yeah. It is like, it's like, yeah, Bruce. It's like, hey, Bruce Wayne, in all your years of travel around the world to learn the many, like, as many different, like, strategies and martial arts and all this stuff you get, like, you didn't take a psych course? Like,
right. You can't just talk to the people who are around you who care about you. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. To this traumatized child who's seen people be thrown into, like, machinery.
Yeah.
Like, you can't. Yeah.
Yeah. My only criticisms with the book was, I wish it was maybe a little more, if we're going to lean into that, like, family dynamic, maybe they could have leaned a little harder. And the other thing is, like, Batman gets a new car and it's like a non-event. Like, it's just like, oh yeah, he's in the new one. And you start there and you're like, oh, I guess this is the new one. And it's like, yeah. He doesn't unveil it. There's no there's no like, oh, I've made some tweaks, like, we don't get like a gear rundown. It's just like, oh, he's got a new car. It drives him from A to B, I guess. I don't know. And then shoots him out of the top of it.
Well, I wonder if there's this like push pull though, like, because like, this is like 95 now. I wonder if there's like, if comic creators at this time in superhero books are starting to like try to pull away from like all the gear. Cause I remember like early 90s, like gear always, those big splash pages and it would have like points down of like, all the stuff on Cable's gun and shit. And like all this, like all the balaclava, like what's like on it and like all that stuff. And like, but like, that was like really popular for like a few years, but like maybe like the trend is just kind of like dying down and maybe some of the writers are just like, oh, thank God. And he's like, yep, here's the Batmobile. Because like at a certain point,
it's
having
a
your
car.
Well, and like having your character, especially like, Batman's known for this, for like, he always has like whatever he needs in his utility belt, or like,
where does he get those wonderful toys?
Yeah, exactly. So maybe it was just a part of like a pulling away of like, yep, new Batmobile. Okay, moving on.
Maybe. But yeah, pretty good issue.
Yeah. I really dug it.
You want to go into Shadow of the Bat 46? 46, right?
Yes. Shadow of the Bat.
By the way, real quick about Shadow of the Bat. So, like I was saying before about the Amazon affiliate links, like I've been looking up to see like what's collected and what's not. And a lot of Shadow of the Bat is collected. However, those 2 issues that tie in with Catwoman with the questionable indigenous people that maybe don't hold up well, not collected. The white savior Bruce Wayne or Thomas or whatever his name was, Wayne, who's dragging black people to freedom, not collected. Didn't decide to collect that one.
some decent choices, some good choices there.
Skip over those ones. It's fine. It's totally fine. Yeah.
This isn't so important that we have to print it and have a disclaimer of like, okay, guys, look.
It's like when Disney ran Song of the South on Disney Plus. They're like, okay, all right, so this is a thing, but it was a different time. Yeah.
Shadow of the Bat, issue number 46. The Shadow of the Bat falls on Cornelius Stirk. Alan Grant is the writer. Tommy Lee Edwards is the penciler. Ray McCarthy is the inker. Pamela Rambeau is the colorist. Android Images doing those color separations. Bill Oakley letterer. Brian Stilfreeze cover painter. Jordan B. Gorfunkel associate editor. Dennis O'Neill is the big boy editor. We begin with a voiceover talking about the techniques of the common serial killer, how they mostly go about prey smaller than themselves. The voice is talking over a scene of a psycho lording over a homeless man, getting ready to beat him for no other reason than he doesn't really see him as human. Thankfully, he only gets a few punches in before a helpful cop chases this asshole away. Cop leads the victim away, telling him he has a place near here where he can get a drink and clean himself up. The voiceover continues on about how weaker victims are easier to kill and dispose of, just as the police officer leads the man to a blind alley and raises a knife. In Arkham, we see where the voice is coming from. And it's an interview being given by this serial killer, Cornelius Stirk. He's in full genius serial killer trope territory here. He's toying with this egghead who's writing a book about him. Stirk gives his actual diagnosis, which is a psychopath, and mentions the whole thing of like, after he describes what psychopathy is, like, it reminds you of some politicians. No. Like, yeah, great Psych 101 thinking there, buddy. You're real intellectual titan over here. Next, this jackass is going to quote Hamlet and like pretend he's cultured or something. Yeah. Dr. Arkham is looking in on the interview, and he's excited about this form of treatment and the money that the book will bring to Stirk's victims. Capitalism, the cause of and solution to all of life's problems.
Mm-hmm.
Loomis, the guard watching the interview on the CCTV, helpfully turns on the TV so we can see the conclusion to the thrilling mayoral race. Kroll has a slight lead. Stay tuned. Sure will. On the edge of my seat over here.
Just loving the thrill of politics.
Oh, yeah, so thrilling. Bruce votes. Alfred lists the election night fun they might get up to. Bruce tells him to have fun while he bats the fuck out of there.
Yep.
And now back to some spooky smart serial killers. We're back with Stirk's voiceover as we look back on this poor homeless man who's now tied to a chair and being chatted up by a maniac. Maniac ain't liking that this guy isn't scared enough, so he turns himself into a friggin' saber-toothed tiger. God damn, I think I'd shit my pants if, like, that happened in front of me. Like, probably already would have shot my pants tied up with a, whatever. I ain't a tough guy. Back to the interview. Our egghead is getting a bit more nervous, asking Stirk about his shape-changing abilities. Oh, no. He doesn't have those. He just hypnotizes people into seeing what he wants them to see. Much more plausible. All right, that makes more. I'm more comfortable with that now. Stirk also loves human hearts, apparently. Always gets his tummy rumbling. Human hearts, man. There's some more
It's like the serial killer and being interviewed by the egghead. It's like every single serial killer you've seen interviewed by an egghead. There is nothing unique about what's happening in this issue.
No, it's tropes all the way down. Which,
maybe the hypnosis stuff is kind of interesting. That's kind of interesting, but 99% of this is just like, hey, you've heard this song and dance before.
Yeah, there's some more politics stuff. Penguin placing some bets on the race, like the degenerate gambler that he is. And I don't care how well you dress yourself, Cobblepot. We know who you are. He's using tonight to have one of his crews hit all of the candidates' houses, since they'll be empty. It's a clever bird. Batman, as is his wont, swoops in and fucks these guys up. I mean, just head through a car window, ducking out of the way so they shoot each other. Badass. Great action in this issue. The art team is fucking killing it.
Yeah, man. This is early Tommy Lee Edwards, and like that
so
dude.
Good.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So good.
No. So good. More serial killer smart man talk. Stirk explains he loves, eating human hearts. Egghead asks him if his abilities make it hard for him to get caught. And of course it does. Well, how did Batman catch him then? Well, it was this Mensa member that caught Batman. He tortured him too. He also made the classic mistake of not just killing him right away and kept him tied up while he was going to kill a guy in front of him. Then he just gives up once Batman snaps the ropes, because he's a fucking wuss.
Yeah.
That's when Stirk makes his move and his reveal. The face he's been displaying this whole time isn't really his face. He grabs the Egghead's pen. The Egghead calls for help, but it's too late. The guard on duty, Loomis, has already been hypnototed. Batman is swinging through the air, listening to the radio, NPR, I'm assuming. That asshole Kroll lost. Good riddance. There's a new DA, too. Sure, I remember there being a race for DA. Seth Voter.
I think that happened. I think that they threw that in last pod at like the last minute as like a throwaway line. I'm not even sure. At some point, somebody said something about there's going to be a new DA soon too, and like that was it. That's all we got. So yeah,
that's so great. That's so great. Dr. Arkham runs into the guard outside, asking him what the hell he's doing there. He's supposed to be watching Stirk give Egghead the interview. Hypnotized dude said he just sent the Egghead off and that Stirk is sleeping. not to be disturbed. Nice touch. Dr. Arkham knows what's up now. Stirk is gone, and he's left a note advising him that the place could use better cooking facilities. Oh, and there's the body of the egghead, Sans Hart, in his cell. Stirk is on his way with an invitation to Penguin's election night party at his club. Batman confronts Penguin about the robberies. Cobblepot claims innocence and ignorance, and Penguin makes his way down to the party and the new DA, who is in his fishy pocket. Next issue, Political Party Panic.
More politics. Thrill
at the thrilling politics. What'd you think?
I thought it was a pretty not really engaging as far as the writing goes, but Tommy Lee Edwards kept me in my seat. He's a brilliant artist. This is very early Tommy Lee Edwards, but you can still see that he's like head and shoulders above a lot of the other art teams that we've seen.
Oh yeah.
Just really fantastic. I feel like he doesn't really start coming into his own. Like, this is great work from him, but he doesn't ascend to the level that he's at now until he really starts coloring himself. Once he starts doing that, oh man, he gets so fucking good. He's like, I think he's one of the best out there right now making mainstream books in general.
Yeah. Well, and even back then, just his like, you know, and I will say this though too about the serial killer trope. I'll just give like, you know, a little bit more like leash on that because it was 1995, and you know, I guess it was, and it was just kind of like popular then. Like I guess it was tropey at that point, but like it was just like a popular like.
Yeah, it was tropey, like, but it wasn't like worn out. Like
yeah.
At this point, I've seen Mindhunter. You know, like
yeah.
So you know,
that show isn't going to stack up. Was on for 20 years and CSIs and all whatever other
been beaten into the ground serial killers.
Yeah. But Tommy Lee Edwards, like, it's always, especially at this time, to see in a mainstream book just making pages where there are just people talking to just be compelling and to keep you in. To, you know, and not be afraid to like play with angles and just like, does this look interesting? Does that look interesting? And I can't imagine when he was breaking down these pages and thumbnailing them, like how many times he probably drew different, like for the conversation scenes, just sort of different, like how should I frame?
How do you make the most engaging page? Yeah.
Like what are these going to look like in the storytelling next to each other, and how do I keep these beats, and like, you know, like that kind of thing was just really, really well done. And it's such a hard thing to pull off too, and in a superhero in particular. I think
I was a little disappointed we didn't get more action out of it, because you were right in that the action where Batman beats up the goons that are trying to like rob the houses is so fluid and so good. And Batman is like, he starts it by slamming the guy's head into the car as he like swoops in, and he ends it by slamming a dude's head into the car. And in between those head slams, he's basically not fighting them. He's dodging them and they're hitting themselves. And it's so strong. It's such good cartooning all the way through.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Such great impact. Yeah.
Can I tell a quick Tommy Lee Edwards story?
Oh yeah.
My buddy Larry, who I do a lot of cons with when I was living in Florida, because we were living in the same town, so we'd like both hit up whatever con, you know. He's a comic artist as well, Larry Watts, and he did a show once and got on the Wi-Fi network and noticed that there was another computer on the Wi-Fi network. It was like Wi-Fi for the hotel, and it was Tommy Lee Edwards' computer just totally unlocked. All of his like raw files, everything he was working on, like you could see how he was piecing pages together and stuff like that. And he was like, oh shit, I gotta let him know. So he like the next day at the con, he was like, hey, just so you know, everyone can see your computer on the Wi-Fi. And he was like, oh shit, thanks, man.
Oh man, what a like, and probably too, he's probably like, you know, just like tired from travel. He's at the con. He's doing the thing. He's probably still trying to like get some work done, like, here and there.
He's not paying attention to this.
Yeah, just not even like thinking about like, locking it. Oh man.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
Let's get into some Detective Comics 693. Unless you have anything else you want to add.
No, just honestly, really, really great issue of Shadow of the Bat.
Yeah.
I kind of hope Tommy Lee Edwards is around for the duration of the arc.
I hope so too. I hope we get more Tommy Lee. Every single fucking time I almost say Tommy Lee Jones. It's Tommy Lee Edwards. It's not Tommy Lee Jones. Two different people.
I thought about making a joke about that, but I'm just like, no.
It's just gonna fuck me up more, Jason. Please don't.
but also like I'm just like, I bet this man has been hearing that joke his entire freaking life. So I'm like,
he probably gets it from people who are nervous to meet him at shows and fuck it up in front of them. I'm sure that happens. I'm positive that happens. Also, he's a great follow on social media. He works on a lot of classic American muscle cars as well. So
sweet.
Sweet. He's a cool dude.
Fucking awesome. God, fucking what he's living his childhood dream, fucking rebuilding muscle cars and drawing comic
working
books.
In comic books. Yeah.
Oh man, so great.
Very good. It's very good. Great. Detective Comics 693, written by Chuck Dixon, art by Staz Johnson and James Hodgkins, colors by the amazing Trish Mulville. We'll talk about that in a minute. Seps by Android Images, letters by John Costanza, edits by Scott Peterson with Darren Vincenzo. This is System Shock. And it occurred to me because this past couple of days have been heavy colorist chatter in the Discord. And somebody asked in a comic book Discord that I'm in, not my own Discord, but another one, like what a separator is. Do you know, like, so we keep saying Seps by Android Images.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea about that, Jason?
You explained it to me once, and I then forgot.
So basically, the colorist, I'm going to run through it really quick because apparently I've explained it once already, but we keep saying Seps, and we're in like the prime time for colorist and separator being two different jobs right now. So I want to make it abundantly clear.
Yeah, because it's still new. Digital coloring is still new. Like there's still a lot of books that are still being colored by hand at this point.
Yeah. So this era, because we have digital coloring that's new, you can kind of like make any color on the screen and in print. So what's happening, but it's still like having a computer in 1995 to do this kind of work. There's like limitations to it, and there's also a knowledge base that you got to have to work a computer versus just drawing or just painting, Yeah,
I just looked this up. Just in 1995, the version of Photoshop that was out was 3.0.
Yeah, so there you go. It might have just got layers.
yeah, early days. So you have people with specialized Photoshop knowledge, and then you have people who know color theory. And so a colorist will, using Doc Martin dyes and markers, literally color in like a coloring book, like a page. Like they'll get like a stack of pages that are kind of on this paper that feels kind of like money. And then, marker render basically everything. And then they'll pass it off to a separator, and the separator will just like pin it next to their monitor and then just try to replicate exactly what the person did with their, like physical page. And so depending on the separator is making the final image that hits print. So a lot of times a colorist might get a bad separator or a good separator. And then they'll see the book in print and they'll be like, oh, this is better than what I did. Or, oh, this is worse than what I did. Yeah.
So I just wanted to illustrate that. Trish Mulville is our colorist on this issue. She has had a huge career spanning a lot of different books. But one of her most notable is, we talked about it on the To Read pile, 100 Bullets. She colored 100 Bullets.
No shit. Oh, yeah. God.
She colored 100 Bullets among a lot of other books, and she started out doing color separations, she started out doing colors, and Xylenol Studio, the studio I worked at, was doing color separations. So I was getting Trish Mulville pages and then like pinning it up to the monitor and like trying to make it work exactly, stuff like that. So during this time, this is like 2004, she is like one of the last holdouts that are still doing these color, what do they call them? Proofs, these color proofs. And she actually transitions midway through 100 Bullets from doing just like Doc Martin dyes and markers to like, okay, now she's doing Photoshop. So the fact that you can't tell, I think, speaks to volumes to her professionalism and to her ability that she like went from, markers and Doc Martin dyes to Photoshop, whatever version it was. And it was seamless and perfect. And she's just an amazing colorist. And if anyone ever catches her at a show, say hi, tell her work's great, because it is.
Yeah. Holy shit, it is. Yeah.
This is System Shock. A man in a hazmat suit is wheeling out a barrel of something in the park at night. He finds himself beset by thugs looking to rob him of his barrel. I guess they want that barrel. I don't know.
Gotta get that barrel, man. You gotta stack them barrels. You never heard that expression?
I've never, Jason, no, that's not an expression. I won't believe you.
You shouldn't.
The hazmat guy cuts loose, smoking them all out with some chemicals, slowing them down so that he can arm the bomb. The barrel is a bomb. Hazmat guy makes his escape in a rental van, but Batman is on his tail. Hazmat guy crashes into a department. Oh, also the bomb exploded. I should have wrote that in the summary. The bomb exploded. Yeah. The hazmat guy crashes into a department store. Batman and Robin on his tail with respirators just to be safe from the chemicals. The hazmat guy uses a old television to smash through a window and hop from the second floor onto the bus below, getting away from the bat. Meanwhile, Gotham PD are on the scene at the park. The explosion wasn't the point. The explosion simply dispersed the defoliant. The trees are losing their leaves and the grass is dying. Meanwhile, Marion Grange won the election and she'll be Gotham's new mayor. Seth Voter is the new district attorney. Meanwhile, the previous mayor is irked because he lost, and he realized he still has some power and he can appoint a new commissioner, and he's got just the guy for the job. I don't know who that is. Probably Gordon? ? Meanwhile, Pamela Isley, aka Poison Ivy, is upset about the recent development regarding the plant genocide. She poisons the doctors at Arkham Asylum and makes her escape. Batman searches for a motivation, and he can't quite figure this crime out with the hazmat suit guy. It's not money. He didn't put in a threat. We don't know what his deal is. We cut to a pharmacy that has our hazmat guy just buying like a stupid amount of allergy medication, like a ridiculous amount. He has a conversation with like the person working there. She's like, "Have you tried the shots?" And he's like, "I've tried everything." He's wearing gloves. He's like, doesn't want to touch anything. Dude's a mess. He just hates those fucking plants. GPD surrounds Hazmat Guy's house. The Hazmat Guy ends up pushing through the barricade with his truck. Batman follows. The guy jumps a drawbridge to get away from the bat. Batman tries to stop, but his car tips over the edge of the bridge and falls into the water below. Is this brand new Batmobile toast already? Find out next time, true believers. Jason, what do you think of Detective Comics 693?
I thought it was all right. I thought it was okay. I mean, I enjoyed the goofiness of like just like the simplicity of the motive of this guy.
Yeah.
That he just has like such terrible allergies. Like
he's just gonna kill all plant life in Gotham. Yeah,
because at the beginning of the issue when you don't see the reveal yet, he has that weird like I didn't know what to make of that sound effect in between him trying to talk, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, it's because he's stuffed up.
Yeah. He's wheezing for air. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, that's what it is. I'm like, that's cute.
I think I liked this issue a little more than you did because I kind of really loved it. The idea that like Poison Ivy gets fired up about getting out of Gotham because one man is taking his allergies into his own hands. I just find it hilarious. It's just such a like fucking, it's a weird plot device that I have never seen with Poison Ivy before.
Yeah.
And there's so much Poison Ivy content out there that it was just really nice to see something fresh, you know?
Yeah. I guess that was another part of the thing that just like this era of Poison Ivy just kind of like, it's not interesting to me.
Yeah.
Is because it can just become so one note, you know? It's like, I hear the plant scream and like,
I don't know if she necessarily like has a deep connection to the green yet or not. Cause I know that her powers get tweaked a little bit from the 90s to now. So I don't think I don't think she's quite as powerful.
Yeah, she like almost turns into like an elemental or something these days, right? Like not quite a swamp thing, but kind of like
but
a
Swamp Thing,
whatever.
Yeah. They're in the same boat. Whereas at this point, she's still mostly people rather than plant.
Yeah. But I did really enjoy just kind of the goofiness of, you know, like you said, of the guy, and then also now Poison Ivy's on his tail. Like
I love that this dude who's just like taking his allergies into his own hands got away from Batman twice. Like,
yes,
that's extremely excellent.
I do want to give an honorable mention too, though, to the I guess not heads up, but eyeball up display in Robin's visor.
Oh yeah. So when they crash into when he crashes into the department store and Batman and Robin go in after him, they're like, "What chemicals are those? Are things going to explode?" You know? And Robin's like, "Hold on, I'm running an analysis," and it's like data streaming over his eyeball. It's very fun. It's very fun.
That was great. It's such a great
I know we talked about color a little bit in the beginning, but I just wanted to reiterate Trish Mulville doing some stuff in here that you don't see very often. A lot of knockouts, meaning she's colorized the line art, like taken the black line art and made it into a color. A lot of the smoke effects from the chemical disbursement and stuff like that. All the colors were super bright and like told a really good story. It was like a clear, we talked about this a little bit with Matt Hollingsworth's couple of arcs that he did with the Firefly stuff and the pirate crew from a few pods ago at this point. But you can see between like him and Patricia Mulville that like they're starting to coalesce around like good color theory and good storytelling, and they are few in the industry in 1995 that are thinking about that kind of stuff, because normally it's a lot of stuff that looks like, you know, Image Comics Cyberforce coming out of like this kind of era of coloring.
Yeah. Like you're just kind of doing what you're told, essentially.
Well, yeah. And it's also like colorists went from we have very limited tools to we have all the tools. And some of them, like once they got all the tools, used all the fucking tools. Like, and it's to a point where it's like, oh, this is actually detrimental. Like you need to scale it back and make it readable. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to shout out Trish again because she's really great. And if she wants to sell me some 100 Bullets color guides, I would happily do it. I'd happily buy them from you, Trish. Please.
And I will say too, it's no small thing for any of the colorists that were, either at the start of or not too far into their careers at this point.
Yeah.
And even some of them who were, like, it's no small feat to just, like, it's hard to explain to people who don't go through it or weren't alive then, but like just the massive sea change of, oh, not here are some new tools for you to do your job. Here's a completely different way that you're going to have to learn how to do it. You know, like anybody who's ever sat down to be like, I'm just going to learn how to do this thing in Photoshop. It's like, good luck. hope you have some tutorials and a lot of time.
Yeah. You know? But I forgot the name of the program. There's a program pre-Photoshop that people were using for like a hot second, like 2 or 3 years in the 90s before like Photoshop became the standard. And it was made by a guy who, through a series of like unfortunate business decisions, basically lost control of his product. And then because of that, he was like, I'm never updating this. Like, fuck off. You know, he was like, because the company was like, hey, we need you to keep updating this. And he was like, no. So eventually Photoshop eclipsed this program. Let me see if I can find it. Let me search.
Yeah.
This program, the reason that I learned about it is because we were talking about how Akira was colored for the United States market. And this was the first time that there was a colorist and a separator, and they were the same person. So like, I believe it was Olaf. Yeah, Olaf colored Akira using this program in 89. And it was the first time that he did every step. He did all the color guides, and then he did all the color digital work based on the color guides. Because like that's how it was done back then. And like he was probably more comfortable figuring out the color theory than he was, you know, like in the computer. So he was like, let's figure it all out on the page. Then we'll put it in the computer. We'll get it done. Side note, Marissa Louise, another colorist, bought a handful of Akira color guides at a convention for $50 a pop because she was like, man, these seem like they should be more expensive. And I took a quick look on Amazon or on eBay. There's a couple of Akira pages that are up there, color guides, and they're like $500 to $1,000.
Yeah, Jesus.
So I'm extremely jealous of her Akira pages.
God.
It's Akira was done on a program called Kaleidoscope, which is impossible to Google now. This is from Steve's site. So this is Steve Olaf who colored Akira. 2 days after Christmas, 1987, Federal Express delivered 2 boxes to my office in downtown Point area. It was an IBM 286 12 megahertz box loaded with an AT&T Targa graphics board, DOS, and their Kaleidoscope software and a monitor. It also had a handmade heat diffuser to cool off the Maths coprocessor on this board. Taped to the case was a 1-page sheet of instructions about how to run the system. It was very simple. I set it up and loaded up some of the discs of Akira art, and then spent the next 3 months coloring Akira #1. 3 months to color Akira #1. The system chugged like an old farm truck. The software was buggy, and the machine was erratic. It really needed that heat diffuser because when it overheated every day, sometimes many times a day, it'd freeze and he'd lose everything up to the last save. It got so bad that I'd save after every single polygon, each traced and then enclosed with color. He colored all but 3 or 4 pages, which Abel Mutton helped color with. Eventually, in the early days, Kenny scanned the pages, shipped me the discs. I colored them on the system and sent the discs back to him. From there, he made proofs and output the film. I didn't see a single proof until the issue came out in print for the first 10 issues. With issue 11, I got a printer and a scanner so that I could actively check on things. All the issues before were kind of seat of your pants, hope for the best kind of situation.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And Akira is like
crazy
to be like, hey, I'm just going to experiment with color on this book that probably no one's going to read Akira, you know?
Yeah. And those are some phenomenal colors too. Like I can conjure some of those up, you know?
Yeah.
Like
fucking bonkers, dude. The way that
crazy.
It's every time I hear about how comics were made pre-90s, I'm like, if they were still made that way, I would not be in comics. There's no fucking way. The tedium, dude. The fucking tedium.
Yeah, I've read some stories about like even the guys back in like the 30s and 40s, you know, of just like I've read some stories about like the old like EC guys, you know, just in the office for like hours. Yeah.
So Kaleidoscope wasn't the program I was thinking of. This was apparently specially made for this system so that he could color Akira.
Oh, okay.
The other system that was rival to Photoshop was called the Cod Barrett system. And apparently Android Images, who is doing all the steps on these books that we're talking about, used this system. And this was the one who got away from him, the creator. So he basically stopped updating it, and they did like some cosmetic things to be like, oh, we're still updating, but like eventually Photoshop just eclipsed it. Listen to this. In those days, the Cod Barrett software, just the software, mind you, $5,000 per workstation. And the computers were relatively inexpensive IBM clones. They didn't need powerful processors because this Cod Barrett system, instead of being pixel-based like Photoshop, was vector-based. So it would just log all of the math, basically, and then recreate the image every time you load it, which is like a way to save space, but also it's like, oh my God, what are we doing? Like,
yeah,
it's probably a necessity for the time. However, oh my God, what are we doing?
Yeah.
It's the old joke of like the JPEG of Super Mario Brothers on the NES is actually a higher file size than Super Mario Brothers on the NES, because that's all just math. Whereas like the pixel count on this JPEG is so high that it's bigger than the game.
Yeah. It is also great. I love hearing stories like this because like, you know, you end up in a place where something is the norm, and like, you know, and now thankfully you have like Clip Studio Paint and like, you know, a few other programs kind of start nipping at the heels at like Photoshop, like supremacy, and like stuff like Procreate, and, you know, but like people who like encounter these things who are younger are like, oh, this stuff just works. It's like,
it's a long, hard road to get there.
Yeah. And, you know, and I'm sure the same could be said about a lot of like technology that we grew up enjoying that was just like, you know, took 20 or 30 years to get to the like perfect point. You know?
And like, I knew that there were systems pre-Photoshop, and I knew that there was growing pains in the 90s as this tech got more like easier to use, more widely distributed, cheaper, all those things. But I had no idea that there were like competing visual image software stuff.
Yeah.
And then when we were talking about this in the Discord, Andy pointed out that all the books were laid out in Quark, which is a program that like newspapers used. And I learned Quark. I learned Quark in school because they were like, you're going to need to know this to lay out comics. And now everything's just Illustrator.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Congratulations. What you just got a degree in learning is now obsolete.
Welcome to the workforce, Tiger.
Yeah.
I graduated. We're on a wild tangent now, but like when I graduated college, I was a kid who put a lot of faith in the adults around me. And I was like, oh, now that I've learned all this, I can stop learning. And the world does not work that way at all. Like you basically have to fall in love with the process of making the thing and learning about new processes to make the thing. if you don't have that, if you're just like, you know, I'm done learning, then you're not going to be in a good place in 10 years.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm sure it's the same way. Well, it's the same way in like, like computers, like programmers and stuff. It's like,
yep.
Oh, I'm going to go to, I got my bachelor's in, CSE or whatever. And it's like, well, the theory is still there. Okay. Well, I have that, but all these programming languages I've been, and like frameworks and whatever I've been learning and using are, oh wait, no, they're not popular anymore. And they want to switch to this other thing. Cool.
Yep. Well,
great. Yeah.
Time to learn the new thing. Yeah.
Yep. Hopefully my theory is sound and I can just jump in,
I've talked about coloring too long, Jason. Please take us into Batman and Robin.
I like it when you talk about coloring, though. Batman and Robin Adventures, Issue 3. Paul Dini is your writer. Ty Templeton is your penciler. Rick Burkick is your inker. Linda Medley is your colorist. Richard Starkings and Comic Craft are your letterers. Darren Vincenzo is your associate editor. And Scott Peterson is your big boy editor. Christmas time is here. Time for some Christmas cheer. Looking on a snowy Yuletide night at the Progenitor Club. I swear I didn't look up to, figure out what that meant and to make sure I pronounced it properly. I knew it, always knew it. The Progenitor Club is a rich person society located in an Art Deco version of a nondescript building. As much as Art Deco could get nondescript.
Yeah.
They're holding their annual holiday gathering of rich, important people. This place is chock-a-block with artifacts and valuable items from people like Grace Bannon, probably, and adventurers. I did love the nod to like adventure stories and stuff. It was really cool.
Yeah.
And what's this? It's Santa on stage. The fat man's ready to dole out the gifts, but he's got questions? What the hell? Shit, it's the Riddler. After he reveals himself in grand supervillain fashion.
I just the way you framed that, I just kind of realized how disappointing it is to run into the Riddler, basically. It's like, oh, it's the fucking Riddler. Just like, God, this is the last thing I need.
Yeah. It's like, oh God, why am I forgetting the character's name? In Batman Beyond, the Batman in Batman Beyond.
Oh, Terry McGinnis.
Terry McGinnis. Sorry. Yeah, it's like Terry McGinnis. Like, yeah, I'm going to be Batman. And my first, it's the Riddler. This guy, I can't get
this guy. Yeah. Just obnoxious. Just, you don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, he is fun, though. He is fun. After he reveals himself in grand supervillain fashion, the upper crust begin to harumph and shout to call the cops. Riddler asks his lovely henchwomen to calm the crowd down. They oblige by spraying indiscriminately with their automatic weapons. Communication by gun is a very American thing.
Yeah.
But what's this? The Inquisitive Claus is calling the fuzz on himself? What's this maniac got in mind here? He gives Gordon a quick call. And I love how quickly they got him patched through to the commissioner, just, straight in there. With that, we have our first Summer Gleason appearance of the season. Listen,
I'm happy.
Yeah, I thought about it, like, oh, Summer Gleason, look at that.
Yep.
This intrepid TV reporter is live on the scene. She asks the commission if there been any motive behind the Riddler's crime tonight, like he usually has. They haven't figured anything out yet. He just took some hostages. Then grenades smashed through the windows, quickly filling the entire area with a cloud of green gas or smoke or, In the confusion, the begassed mass henchwoman appears behind our intrepid reporter. Back inside with the cameraman and a live feed to the city and Summer Gleason, the Riddler starts his real plan. He's going to expose the identities of Batman and Robin. Summer's incredulous, asking why he thinks they'd be here of all places. Riddler gets in a nice sexist response that she must have been hired for her looks. Like, damn, dude, Here I thought you were all progressive with your henchwomen and whatnot. And
right. He had such a positive hench people thing the last time we saw him with his Three Stooges goons.
Yeah.
And now he was so progressive, and now
Yeah. But the real performance is the might of the logic that he's going to show to figure out who Batman and Robin are. And he breaks down the facts. Batman has to be between 28 and 40 something. Batmobiles don't come cheap, so he must be rich or bankrolled by a rich person. And the rich people there who have fathers and sons around the age range of Batman and Robin are the best bet. He's not wrong, but it's a bit like, there's a fallacy called the post hoc ergo propter hoc, the like, oh, afterwards, therefore, this thing, all right, Riddler, all right, yeah.
Whoa. Back up and explain exactly what that Latin was.
Post hoc.
I've never heard this idea before.
Well, it just means like, like a logical fallacy, right? So it's like, oh, well, B follows A, so B must have been caused by A.
Okay.
Yeah, it's sort of the general gist of it, which, like, yeah, the Riddler's right in this case. Like, it is, like, pretty obvious if, to figure out who Batman is. But,
sure,
it's not always. All right, smart guy,
Yeah.
But then he starts making his case across the room of these captured rich people. There's Graham Nolan. He's a multimillionaire, and him and his son are world-class gymnasts. Truly are bettors who deserve to have all of that money. Then there's the MacGyver clan. The old man in the wheelchair, though, he isn't taking any of Riddler's shit, but Riddler reminds him he's not going to do anything, pointing at the henchwomen with the gun. And then he posits there could be a team of revolving Batman and Robins, after he was shot. And after this old man was shot and his wife and 2 kids during a robbery at his factory, like, Jesus, like, Gotham's got issues, man. Like, why is anyone still moving there? Like, is the rent that cheap when there's just like common like factory robberies where families are getting iced? Like, okay, fine, Cut to our boys in the Batmobile watching on the center console TV, which, like, hey, I guess they predicted that, right?
Yep.
Bats knows that this mook doesn't know what he's talking about and wonders what his real game is. Robin thinks he's finally just lost his marbles, but Batman knows better. The dynamic duo swiftly sneak their way into the club, heading down the hall with portraits of the club's founding fathers. Gross. I don't know why I wrote that. We come upon a large portrait.
They're just founding fathers, Jason.
I don't know. We come upon a large portrait in tribute to Thomas Wayne. Time for some PTSD. While they reminisce under the portrait of Bruce's murdered father, they hear a crash from the other room. Why, it's 2 goons attempting some sneak thieving. Oh. The goons are in the middle of swiping 2 expensive-looking statues from the vault when Robin gets in a quip and then shows off how flexible he is by kicking them both in the face at once. Fucking show off. I'm here on my back with a heating pad writing this.
Gotta get that Robin body, Jason.
Yeah.
Hashtag goals.
Really? I mean, come on. Yeah.
He lifted a grown man with one arm.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just as the boy wonder is about to get clobbered from behind, though, Batman saves the day. Dick gets in another quip before they make their way to the stage. Looking at the statues, they're called Dos Hermanos, or the 2 brothers. Get it? The riddles all involved brothers or familial relationships. Man, lit professors, am I right? Batman pokes one of the statues out from behind the curtain to get the Riddler to walk over and just one punch him to the ground. Henchwoman with the MAC-10 tells Batman to stop as she cocks her gun, but not before Robin just bowling balls in his way to the both of them, taking them out. Batman has it figured out. Everything was just a distraction from the robberies of the 2 priceless statues. Well, not just that, but to lead the dynamic duo to their deaths. And after delivering the worst riddle of all time, Riddler lets loose a wall of flame, catching the whole room on fire.
But let me hit you with the riddle. All right?
Yeah.
Riddle me this, Boy Wonder. When is a tree not a tree? When it's a flame.
Terrible. Yeah, so bad. So
D-list.
bad. Yeah,
D-list Riddle.
It could be that Mabim Bam bit. Like, just,
Riddle me piss.
Yeah.
We can't. We're gonna infringe on intellectual copyright here. We can't. We can't go further than that.
No. I won't.
Besides, that bit was bad on their show.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. Shots fired at the McElroys. We're coming for you.
Yeah. Just give us like part of your audience,
please.
You can spare it. Yeah, you can spare it. Robin wants to go after him, but Bats reminds him that they have to help the people now trapped in an inferno. He's like, I guess. Riddler steals a too cool-looking Art Deco police van, cackling about his success. He's beat them all. The Bat, the police, that insipid brat. Wait a minute, that insipid brat just pops his face right in front of the windshield, asking him how he's doing. He's like, hey. Batman just punches straight through the window on the first try. Like, man, I got to get back to Planet Fitness. Yep. All these plans are coming unraveled. The van swerves wildly and crashes into a nearby creek. Robin, flung from the crash, is calling for Batman, who can't be seen anywhere. Triumphantly, though, he rises from the water with an unconscious Riddler in tow. Epilogue. The head of the Progenitor Society is thanking Bruce Wayne for his sizable donation, enough to help them get back on their feet. I'm sure they were a struggling organization before all of this.
Right. The richest people in Gotham and their secret club need help from Bruce Wayne to get back on their feet.
Yeah. He's asked to join, but Bruce admits he's figured out that he's not the club joining type. Next issue, The Perilous Penguin. What'd you think?
I really loved it. Everything was really great. Ty Templeton drew it, correct?
Yeah.
I gotta scroll back because at some point he's gonna make the transition to writer, but Paul Dini wrote this. Other than the terrible riddle, I really enjoyed it. Very, very good. Ty Templeton continues to kill it. Everybody is. The color is really great. Everything in the issue is really fantastic. I really enjoyed Bruce Wayne turning down the Millionaire Boys Club. You know, that was, I felt good about that. And the fact that he wasn't part of it to begin with was also really great.
Yeah.
I also, one of the things that I really love about this version, because this is, we're outside the normal DC world. We're in the Batman Adventures, is that the Riddler almost wins every time until he gets punched in the head. And it's very good. He's like driving away. He's like dressed like a police officer so he can get out into the crowd, gets in one of the police cars, and he's like, I've won, finally. And then he's punched in the head.
It is very, I'd never clocked that before, but it's very Wile E. Coyote.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Same energy.
Yeah. Oh, and a boulder fell on him.
Yeah. The last couple times we've seen him, he's like, I just want to win one. So now I'm very aware.
So great.
I'm very aware of like the Riddler just needing one win, just a single victory.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, he is just like a disgraced, college literature professor. So like, not really like he's not the Rock over here, like
not only that, but he's a disgraced college literary professor whose superpower is leaving behind clues. And he's just like, why can't I win?
Yeah. But also, I just love the, and this is exactly what I come to this book for. I do love the, like, Summer Gleason reporting live on the scene, commission, like because it's like, in this world, this is a very common occurrence that most people are just kind of like, oh yeah, hey, honey, look on the news, the Riddler's at it again. Like, I don't fucking care about the like, I just love that. I love that, like, just like, no, this is the world. Everybody knows, not every criminal, but there are a lot of criminals that like to dress up in costumes and give themselves different names. Like, that have themes, we all just kind of have to accept it, I guess.
Yeah. Man, it was a good solid issue, a nice holiday issue, because we set a tree on fire and we had Riddler dressed like Santa. So, that was fun. And we didn't get a holiday issue in the main books, despite having these like one shots that are just about Batman and Robin's relationship. We didn't get a holiday issue. So
we had the specials, the holiday specials, but we didn't have in the regular like main.
But in the mainline continuity last year, I believe, was when we got Mr. Freeze dug out of the Gotham River in an ice block, and he like thawed out and was on a rampage in the morgue with Renee Montoya. And that was like kind of a Christmas issue because they were talking about Christmas stuff around then. A holiday issue.
Yeah.
And so I was strapped in and ready for that in the mainline Batbooks, but it didn't seem to happen. However, Batman and Robin Adventures got us covered.
Yeah. Really good. Really, really good issue. Just a lot of fun. I'm gonna miss Ty Templeton's art. I'm sure whoever is next is gonna be great. I want to be surprised. I want to wait to whenever that transition happens. But it's
tough
like
to let go of Ty Templeton's art.
Yeah. It's like the Grant Morrison Frank Quitely run on X-Men. Because it takes so long for Frank Quitely to do what he needs to do, to be that kind of artist he is. And the fill-in artists, like most of them were all right. Some of them were pretty good. And even the ones that were like really good, I was just kind of like, it's not Frank Quitely though. I'm like, oh, well, I mean, like
totally fine. Very good art. Not Frank Quitely.
Yeah. It's like, I guess I'll have a Pepsi. Fine. If that's what you have, I'm not gonna, it's good, it's fine. I don't mind Pepsi. Like I don't hate it. I'm not one of those people who, but like,
we got our letters column back.
Oh shit.
Did you check it out at all?
I did not.
Well, the letters were mostly uneventful, but I figured I'd read one since we haven't done letters in so long. So this is for Gotham Adventures issue 33, which was which one was that? I gotta look it up again. Batman Adventures 33 was the Bruce Wayne sees the gray ghost with a date who brings her kid.
Oh, yeah.
They get robbed, and then Batman basically like rips the city apart. It's fucking personal for him.
Yeah.
But in doing so, abandons his date, and she in turn breaks up with him because she's like, what the hell were you doing? And he's like,
yeah,
you don't understand. I'm Batman. That was that issue. So let me read a quick note on it. Dear Batman Adventures, just finished reading issue 33, and I gotta say I loved it. I wish I had the next issue already. But the story brings one question to mind. Will Bruce ever find true love? I mean, there's Talia, keeps saying she loves him. It appears Batman wants to believe it, but always turns on him in the end. And then there's Andrea Belmont from Bruce's young love from Batman Mask of the Phantasm. That flame went up in smoke. There's also occasions in the animated series where Bats appears to have some interest in Catwoman. Of course, she's always liked Batman anyway. Will Bruce remain a bachelor all his life? I think he needs somebody. Everybody needs somebody. Anyway, congratulations on the good work, everyone, and keep it up. You're my favorite comic. That was from Sarah Irvin in Waco, Texas, and Scott writes, that's why not everybody can be Batman. Personally, I feel like if Batman ever finds his true love and decides he absolutely cannot live without a certain person, he will give up being Batman and hopefully live happily ever after. That's Scott Peterson, editor's headcanon of Batman. So I thought that was kind of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I do like that a lot. I know I bring it up a lot, but it's something that I do miss about comics letters columns, even though like it has been a long time since I would have even cared about it because I don't really buy floppies all too much and haven't for like 20 years at this point, close to 20 years at this point. But like, just like, you know, someone caring enough about this character that they love.
Yeah.
To just
to
like,
be like, let's talk about Batman's love life.
Yeah. It's like, this guy's been through enough. I think, everyone needs someone. Like,
just let him go on a date.
I just want him to be let him be happy. I want him to be happy. Yeah. Like that. Fucking great.
You want the next issue stinger?
Yeah.
Next issue. The Penguin's taken over Gotham Zoo. He's got hostages and one demand. He wants the Batman. Batman and Robin Adventures number 4, Birdcage. And I'm not going to read you the team because you said you wanted to be surprised.
Yeah.
So we're going to be surprised, but the team's going to change a little bit next time. All right. Yeah. Jason, how can people get in touch with you?
They can get in touch with me on the Twitters because it's still there, you know.
It's still there.
At King of Black Acid, also at World's Second Finest, at World's Second, you know, with the number 2.
Episodes that get released get posted up there. So if you want a heads up, that's a good place to get it.
Yeah. And they can follow you on your link tree. All your links.
Yeah. I added my Blue Sky. I've been posting a little more over there than Twitter these days, but still kind of cross posting. I saw an image of somebody was like, is anybody else sick and tired of posting across like 8 social media platforms? And it was Carmy from The Bear. And he's like whisking and yelling and he's whisking up like 6 social media projects while like one burns in the background. And I was like, it feels like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find me at linktree.com/Nickfil. You can find all relevant links there. Come join the Discord, hang out. We talk about comics all day and making comics. You can also see what I'm picking up. Like I post all my pickups and stuff over there. So if you're interested in that. Plus, I will be at Asheville Beer City Comic Con at the end of September.
Nice.
So if you want to come see me in person, I don't know. I guess.
Great self-promotion.
Great self-promotion. Rico and I, Rico Renzi, another colorist, popularized for his work on Spider-Gwen. He is going to be on a panel with me talking about color. And Jason, let me just say, I'm going to say something about color that I haven't said in the thousands of hours of me talking about color on YouTube. Certainly, I'll say something completely relevant and revolutionary. So you're not going to want to miss it, is all I'm saying. Yeah, if you're in the area.
Yeah. Well, it's because you've had the practice. So you know.
I've had the practice. Right. I've gotten all the bullshit out of the way.
Yeah.
All the bullshit's out of the way. I'm ready to just let the bomb drop, and I'm going to do it at this con. Come join me.
Yeah, get there. Get your tickets.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening.